Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is LJ Malberg with Compassionate Muse. I'm the president and founder of Compassionate Muse and the curator of the Mindful Music series. We do a conference every year in partnership with Mondo NYC in Brooklyn. Welcome, everyone. My name is LJ Malberg with Compassionate Muse. I'm
There
the
it is.
president and founder of Compassionate Muse and the curator of the Mindful Music series. We do a conference every year in partnership with Mondo NYC in Brooklyn.
That's the best delay in the world.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I had to turn off the streaming so that we don't get that echo. Let's see if there's something more I can do. Oh, I see. It is streaming. I just had to close the window, so we're good. Okay. My apologies, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. All right. One more time with feeling. Welcome, everyone. I'm LJ Malberg with Compassionate Muse. I'm the president and founder of Compassionate Muse. We are a coaching, consulting, speaking, and training company in compassion-based work strategies for the music industry. I also curate and produce the Mindfulness in Music series. We do a conference, a full-day conference in partnership with Mondo NYC. We were supposed to do a conference in partnership with South by Southwest earlier this year, but as we all know, unfortunately, that was canceled due to COVID-19. So we are moving virtual, and here we are. This is part 2 of our live stream series. Today, the theme is the mindful music business entrepreneur, and I am very, very excited and pleased to present 4 very special guests today. Starting to my left on the Brady Bunch tile formation here is Dan Quigley. Dan
Hello.
is, hi Dan. Dan Quigley is a performing artist in a touring band, Boys of Fall, and he is also a business manager and accountant, helping artists with their finances, which is just a wonderful diversification, I guess, of a way to support people in the music business. So welcome, Dan. I'm really happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm also in the pre-launch stages of starting a record label.
Excellent. That's rad. Yeah, so definitely want to hear more about that. I'm going to do, can hold that thought because I'm going to come back through. But we want to do a deep dive for each of you, which I unfortunately will not be able to do myself. It's much better if you guys all introduce yourselves. So to my right on the Brady Bunch tile formation is Reggie DeVore, and otherwise known as Blacklight. And Reggie is a performing artist out of the, I hope I get this right, the Austin and San Antonio area of Texas. Did I get that right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Excellent. And we've been trying to work together in collaboration with Mindfulness in Music since putting together the South by Southwest Mindfulness in Music program. And we finally made it. So Reggie, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome.
Also to my lower right, the Brady Bunch tile, joining us again from last week is Varghese Chaco. Varghese is a producer of festivals and live event series with City Farm Presents, based in Brooklyn, and he is a longtime veteran of a promoter and concert producer in the New York area and beyond. And his background includes TED Talks. Very excited to have you here again, Varghese. And in just a moment, I will let you do the deeper dive. And last, but definitely not least, to my lower left is Fiona Bloom. Fiona is the president and founder of The Bloom Effect, and she is a publicist. She is the guiding voice in so many well-known artists' lives, and in terms of how they shape their careers. And I'll let her get into it first. So Fiona, would you please share with us a little bit more about what it is that you do, all the hats you wear, and maybe something that people can't Google you on?
Thank you for having me, first of all. This is fun. So I call myself a serial entrepreneur, actually, because it's been in my DNA literally since I came out of the womb. This is probably my 17th venture. I've had partnerships. I've had PR firms in London and Atlanta. I had a production company. I had 2 record companies. So anyway, this is my latest and greatest, hopefully, and will probably stick around for a very long time. So the Bloom Effect basically started out as a one-stop shop. I mean, I'm really known as a publicist, but because I've always worn many hats, and because I've had record companies, because I've been in radio, because I've produced events and curated and been in production, it made sense to just build this platform and this network as an agency that was sort of a one-stop shop. And it's been doing pretty well until the COVID-19 came about. But, you know, all the artists that I work with, basically, you know, I'm doing digital campaigns or brand strategy. I wear the booking hat. If the artist doesn't have an agent, I'm booking their tours. I'm doing festival promotion. I'm doing tour marketing. I'm producing events, curating, you know, video premieres. You name it, I do it. I do video promotion, consulting. If somebody needs their TikTok verified, I do that. Instagram, Facebook, all of that as well. And I work with all the DSPs. So Tidal, Pandora, you know, just DSPs, for those of you that don't know what that stands for, digital streaming platforms. So everything across the board, from Shazam to Pandora to Tidal to Amazon to Apple. I basically, you know, work with the playlisting there. I can get your playlist featured. I can do, you know, if you want Spotify to maybe retweet one of your playlists, I can work on getting that happening. So I just got, if you need your Spotify verified, same thing. If you have any artist insight questions. So it's really pretty much a lot of different hats, and it's worked pretty well. I mean, yeah.
You are one dynamic lady.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Fiona. That's great. And then at the end of the call, I'm going to ask everyone to drop their social handles in the chat so that people know where to find you. Anything that you can share there too. We'll do it at the end so that it's fresh and everyone can sort of cut and paste the last part of the chat if they want to. Thank you so much, Fiona. Welcome. Varghese, please give us a little bit more background on you.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Thank you, LJ, for being the awesome host and organizer that you are. So I am the co-founder of City Farm Presents. We own and operate some brick and mortar venues in Brooklyn that specialize in music and comedy. We have produced outdoor concert series in the summer, as well as a podcast festival and a culinary festival. I've been in the event space for about 15 years. Launched TEDx Brooklyn, Panorama with Golden Voice, and then I've also done some brand work on the experiential side. So definitely excited to have this conversation and really learn and listen.
Thank you so much, Varghese. Appreciate you being here. Reggie, give us some more background on you, please.
All right. First, I'm a military vet. The Air Force, I did that for 6 years. I'm pretty much a simple guy. I really don't like talking about myself too much, but I'm an audio engineer, producer, performer. Recently, I performed with Katy Perry in India. I've worked with various artists on various genres. I'm not going to want to name drop. And all around, I'm a good guy. I guess my favorite title is Dad, I guess. Well, not I guess, for sure, but That's about it.
That's great. How many kids?
I only have one.
How
Don't
old?
plan on having any more.
How old are they?
He's 11 years old.
11.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So he's in 5th grade.
He's in
right?
6th grade.
6th grade. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. And is he doing school from like
Right now,
virtual
he's doing school
right
from
now?
home.
Okay. Hmm. How's that going?
I actually like it. I enjoy my kid. He has a better personality than I do, and I think I have a great personality. So it's luckily I'm not one of those parents that's dreading having my kids at home. I love him. He helps me out. He cooks breakfast and everything. He's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Fantastic. He could come over here anytime.
I'm sure.
After the social distancing is over, obviously. That's great. Thank you so much, Reggie. We're so glad to have you. I really appreciate the time today, and
I'm happy to be here.
I learned some new information about your background. So, pilot.
Ooh.
No. I wasn't a pilot. I was in the Air Force.
Oh, you were in the Air Force.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
my bad. Okay, got
Wish
it.
I was
All
a
right.
pilot.
Got it. In the Air Force for how many years?
I did 6 years.
6 years. Oh, thank you for your service.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
And then I heard Katy Perry in there somewhere in India.
Right.
Did I get that right?
In Mumbai, India.
Wow. What an incredible experience.
It was crazy.
Wonderful. Thank you. Dan, hi.
Hello. I'm
It's
happy
been
to
a
be
minute
here.
since I've
It
seen
has.
you. It's great to see you again.
Yes, good to see you.
Would you please share a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, sure thing. So,
Thank you.
I hold a few different varying industry kind of positions. So I guess first and foremost, I play guitar in a band called Boys of Fall, and I do songwriting for the group and that. And we're up until 2020 and everything happening over the last 2-3 years, I've been away from home touring more than I've been home. So out there quite a bit. And we are currently working on our 3rd full-length record to be put out under In Vogue Records. And then moving forward, so we finished writing the record, and we're like, I'd say a little over halfway through recording it, and then all this hit and kind of put a pause on things with that. So working through challenges like that as an artist, and just what happens with everything happening in the industry right now. And then the other side of the coin that I do is I do accounting, bookkeeping, business management for an array of different businesses in the entertainment industry and outside of the entertainment industry. And that can range from anything just from like doing a lot of their daily tasks, like just organizing and like preparing statements and financials like that, and up through just like helping businesses integrate into a more remote structure and like work from home kind of a thing, and also helping like just with challenges that businesses are facing from this crisis or otherwise, like with cash flow and making financial decisions and how that will impact them.
Wow. So what are some of the more poignant conversations you're having, financial conversations you're having with your clients right now?
So I think a lot of the biggest things is like, people are wanting to, people are losing tons of revenue right now. If they're a venue or restaurant, they can't be open, and that if they're, a band, they can't be traveling. So that cuts like, what for some bands, like 75% of their revenue streams.
Right.
For like brick and mortar things, 100%. So there's a lot of talk like that. And then that leads to, well, how can we plan for this and move forward? So that's, where can like certain costs be cut? What kind of financial assistance is out there right now from the government?
Yeah.
And down to things too, like, nobody wants to lay off their employees, but some are forced to have to. And just kind of helping businesses navigate the planning of all those different challenges they're seeing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure thing.
That must be an interesting assessment. So I guess people have to get like super honest with themselves and their finances to really take a hard look, right?
Yeah.
And it's got to be somewhat uncomfortable. to really, look at it closely and go, wow, I really got to cut this out. And maybe I need it, but maybe I don't need it. There's like certain levels of needs. Are you all finding that you're starting to prioritize what you really, really need versus what you thought you needed before? I'm definitely doing that. Well, something that I've noticed, and thank you, Dan.
Yeah, sure thing.
Something that I've noticed across all of us, and it looks like we've lost the video for you, Marquise. Can you hear us still?
I can. I just seem to be a blank space. I apologize.
All good. All good. Oh, there you are.
Hello.
You. Yay!
Yay.
Welcome back. So one of the things that I've noticed is all of you are talking and introducing yourselves is how many hats we all wear. And I mean, like, wow. And I think that that's a really significant point that we could lean into a little bit right now, because in order to survive this, we have to diversify, right? We have to be able to figure out different revenue streams. We have to be able to figure out different niches of clientele that we can service within our industry. And maybe it's not even about the money right now. Maybe it's just about seeing where we can help. The series that I'm doing online, we do it for free because this is the time to be providing as many resources and being of service as we possibly can right now, shared resources where we get to put our heads together and come up with better solutions than I could ever come up with on my own. So I loved doing these sorts of things for that reason. Let's see here. Fiona, do you feel like there's one area, I mean, you named I think I counted 27 things that you do.
Wow. How many? It was like 12.
All right, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. Can you maybe pick one area where you find you are actually staying pretty busy in, where you feel like you can be most helpful right now?
Sure. Yeah. I would have to say all across the board, digital, virtual, digital. Yeah. I mean, some of my artists, unfortunately, don't have the luxury of doing digital streaming concerts, which is really sad. Like, for example, I look after Tower of Power. They are they're in their late 60s, early 70s. So they're not that tech savvy either, but there are also 10 of them that happen to be scattered in different cities. So there's no way that we can even with the latency issue, forget even latency, we couldn't even put them together anyway. So it's a very challenging time for me to have an artist like that who's going stir crazy right now, who basically has their whole livelihood on pause. It's a very difficult time to keep them busy. So the things I've been doing with the ones that can't live stream from home, I've been either setting them up with Instagram Live Q&As or Facebook Live Q&As, which is going really, really well. Or what I'm really excited about is I've just tapped into the Grammy Museum, and the Grammy Museum is doing these mini instructional videos, which is perfect for a band like Tower of Power, or any kind of band that has, a major track record as a musician, as a distinguished musician, because they fall all over that. So I'm fortunate enough to be doing stuff like the Grammy Museum. I found places like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that are doing all of that, and everybody's really, really hungry for content. So everybody's pretty open, especially if you have somewhat of a name and somewhat of an audience. Traction, audience obviously has to be the key. So the name does help, the audience that you bring helps. And then some of the smaller artists that I work with, it's great because they're very easy plug and play. They're young, they are very savvy online. They do this all the time anyway when they're not touring. So I've just been helping them get stuff with, if they're doing a live stream concert, rather than them being one of thousands, because we're way oversaturated now, I'm able to, let's say they're doing Stage It. Because of my relationship with Stage It, they don't have to be one of thousands of people, thousands of artists doing Stage It. I can call up my guy on Stage It, and then they'll be like, yes, Fiona, we'll feature it on the homepage.
Got it. So you've been really helpful in getting them to stand out.
Getting them to stand out, because there's a million people. My phone, just like everyone else's, is blowing up with IG Live, so-and-so's on Facebook, so-and-so's there. I mean, it's like a million alerts going off all at once, driving us all mad. In fact, what we're not getting money stuff now is more, we're not getting as many emails. Isn't it funny how we were so bombarded with emails? We seem to be getting less emails and way more alerts on our phone with everybody going live, everybody and their mother. So I'm able to keep them, I'm able to have them stand out, because then I'll go to Relics, or I'll go to Bands in Town, or I'll go to American Songwriter, you know, Americana Highways, whatever the outlet is. And I work with them so that they'll actually power the live stream. So we can take advantage of their audience in addition to the artist audience, tap that, and then suddenly you've gone much broader. So those are the things that I'm doing, you know, with the artists. And then of course I'm actually a soundboard for them, because a lot of these artists have freaked out. There's a couple of my artists that vanished for 3 weeks. I couldn't even find them. I couldn't get them on email. They weren't answering my calls. They weren't on Instagram. They were just vanished because they were panicked and terrified. So I also became a therapist for a lot of these artists, even though I need one myself.
We all do.
But, you know,
we
so
all
I
need
find,
somebody to talk to.
so I find that, you know, that sounding board and that open ears and just being there for them has really helped tremendously as well. And then brainstorm sessions, you know, and so that's what I've been doing. It's been busy. You know, I've lost a lot of my business, just like we all have. You know, I've been very much in the live space and curating events and tour marketing. So obviously all that's on pause, all that's halted, but busier than ever with the digital stuff. And it's a learning curve for me, because I wasn't full on digital anyway. I was always in the, you know, physical space, traditional marketing, you know, terrestrial radio, syndicated radio, but a lot of my business was also retail marketing and not just digital. So now I'm having to get even more savvy with the learning curve on even figuring out how to work with Zoom more efficiently, and learning more of these IG lives and bringing split screen shares and, you know, doing all of this other stuff that I really wasn't that savvy on or that knowledgeable on before this. So it's forcing me to get out of my comfort zone, not be scared, not be intimidated, trial and error, and really just figuring out what's working and what doesn't. And there's a lot of forgiveness in being more patient with me if I'm not able to do something quick enough. People are very forgiving right now.
Isn't that interesting? So I love that. That's a great point that you bring up. I have found that I have been on the receiving end of a lot of grace lately as well. I appreciate it, especially because I know everybody's freaked out. And it's so easy to act from a place of fear instead of from a place of love and care. Especially these days, it's just a crazy, crazy time. You would think that everybody's super short on patience. But I've noticed that too, that there's a lot of grace going around. And I so appreciate you bringing up that point. Reggie, on the artist side and also the production side, which area have you found to be busier for you? I'm going to guess production, but I don't know.
Right, definitely production. Seems, especially since the COVID-19 happened, I've been getting a lot of artists sending me their music. They wanted me to mix it, asking more notes. I mean, getting more questions for notes and on production, stuff like that. But it's kind of hard. It sucks because I can't be in the studio with someone. We have this social distance thing. But it's like, yeah, send me your stuff. I'll mix it, you know. That's pretty much the challenge now.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So what do those conversations go like once they understand, obviously, they just need to send it in, and then you'll do what you can and get back to them. It's sort of this postal service, this virtual postal service back and forth. What has the conversation been like in terms of driving business and revenue for your company? Have you been able to do that still, even though there's a whole social distancing piece to this?
Not really. Not like I would want to or have been. I would say I've moved to more of teaching people how to properly engineer their stuff from home so that when I get it, it's not a bunch of doctoring. But as far as, you know, engineering is like, you get paid for the hour there. Mixing is like, for me at least, mixing is a salary type thing. It's like, oh, one song, $400, you know,
Okay.
depending on what it is, obviously. But so backtracking, it's more teaching for me than it is actually doing what I love to do.
Yeah. I love that you brought up teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I've noticed is a lot of us who work in soft skills, so people skills,
Mm-hmm.
we have been able to pivot more easily in terms of where we can be of service and be helpful these days. I have noticed that. And I think that that's a wonderful point that we could lean into a bit more. Do you enjoy teaching, Reggie?
I do. I think it's because, like I said, my favorite title is Dad.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I get a joy from seeing people, the idea spark, you know. Also, that's one thing of being a good producer, you know. You're in there giving, you know, feedback and stuff like that, and then they have the idea and it's like run with it, you know. So I guess it's like right up my alley, actually.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Dan, to you, I think that there's probably a pretty big teaching element in what you do.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, from like the accounting aspect, there is a lot of businesses that if they're looking to maybe switch from their like a previous like brick and mortar kind of setup and that, and they do have a product that can be sold maybe as a like, you know, pick up drop off delivery. If it was like a venue that maybe had a kitchen or something, like that's still an option that's there. But then comes the challenge of, well, how are we going to take these orders? And like, so they're setting up new like different software systems things too, and the teaching of that and what is available to suit people's needs. And that varies business to business on, you know, is it going to be online, is it going to be phone in or something, or getting that, you know, into the online retailer kind of thing too, which can cross into artists, which like, so I mean, if you lose your touring revenue, you're left with other creative things like I mean, you still have your online merch revenue, which you really should be pushing hard in these times, I think. And then you have your streaming revenue too, but that's less, I think, you know, the timeline on that's longer and more like a growth strategy, I think, than like, you know, a t-shirt or something that you can sell in the present moment.
Are there channels that you could recommend in terms of best use cases for merch for artists right now? Some that are better than others, tried and true?
So I think a bit of it depends on a bit of your, like if you hold inventory and like do something like and have it yourself, like if you, like let's say you had a stock, you were about to go on tour during these next few months and your tour got canceled and you have a giant back stock that you physically have to sell. I know a lot of bands that will either set something up through Shopify, which is a very robust platform to track different ways of selling things and integrates well with like online accounting platforms and different like shipping methods as well. Another one that I like is the Big Cartel platform. And that one's a little more DIY than something like Shopify, but also comes at a lower cost.
Okay.
Those are probably the two like biggest ones. And then in like the other ballpark, if maybe you don't have inventory, but you're looking to get something sold, there is like print on demand services like Printful and things like that. And then there's other, I mean, and maybe if you're an artist that is lucky to be partnered with a merchandiser too, you can have conversations together on how to overcome this, because the merchandisers are also hurting in this because people aren't ordering large quantities of merch for tour.
That's right.
Yeah. How do you spell Printful? Printful, all one word?
Yes, that I believe so.
Okay, thank you. That's great. For those who are attending, I'm dropping some notes in the chat for everyone to see. If anyone in attendance has anything to add to that or has questions around resources for merch, please drop it in the chat.
And I mean, really, merch is a good, I mean, even beyond the artist, like many brands can be pushing merch. Like I love when like I'm in a venue and I see that the venue has a branded shirt up in there too. Like that's cool. Yeah. And that's, you know, I mean, probably not as large a source of revenue stream for something of that category. But in these times too, I mean, anything is better than like nothing.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That I think that actually segues nicely into Varghese, your expertise in brands. Have you noticed sort of a pivot to brand retail now for artists? What's happening on your end there?
When you say brand retail, sorry, like meaning?
Sorry, online retail.
Oh, got it. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think Dan, you've raised up like those are the two, Big Cartel and the other one, Shopify, were definitely the ones that I've seen being pushed. From some other innovative ways that I've seen kind of merch being, to Dan's point about venues, I've seen, there's a venue, Good Room, that's released in Brooklyn, that's released a bunch of merch, but in actuality, that those sales, the net proceeds of those sales are actually going to their staff. So it's interesting where the revenue is being prioritized. I think this is a very unique example because you're seeing some of the enterprise and kind of businesses being, there's some funds and, there's financial help being offered. Whereas I think some of the actual workers, I think, are being affected the most, which is why I think we as a society are finally praising hourly workers. Where traditionally those are people that don't have unemployment benefits and, and even with, some of the initial bailout that wasn't really included in that extension. So for me, I think, artists and staff are kind of the pillars of our business. A venue can't run without a cool performer, and they sure shit, pardon my language, can't operate without a team that you can trust. And so I've been a real, I feel very, it's painful because, I myself am hurting as well, but, I'm able to be buffered by, the position that I'm in and being able to kind of apply for some of those benefits. But some of those hourly workers and artists are really feeling it the most. And at least with the artists, not to even compare the two, but there's marketing and branding to be done versus the bartender or the barback or the coat check woman or the door person. Their options are either working on the front lines doing delivery for Instacart or what have you. So I think being able to diversify into merch is great. And I've seen some venues do it. The Bell House in Union Hall, we unfortunately laid off, myself included, actually, furloughed, laid off, whatever the word is of the day, about 50 staff members. And so we were thankful to be able to reach out and, raise, about 30 grand. And it's actually ongoing for our staff.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Did you do that through Patreon, or how did you do that fundraising?
It was through, oh my God, why am I blanking on it right now? GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, okay.
Cool.
Right.
If you have the GoFundMe link, can you please drop that in the chat?
Totally.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's, I think it's, just for me, we've ground to a halt. So it's just been seeing how, for me, I've just been like shutting up and listening. And and just taking meetings with as many people as possible, artists, just having conversations. This is definitely one of the more elevated conversations I've had because it's in a group setting, but we're seeing these different modes come up. I think a great example of monetization by an artist is Erykah Badu's stream. And I think Diane, who posted it in LinkedIn, and I kind of had my eye on it. She had like $1. I think her model was like $1 per viewer of the live stream. And then I think she increased it to $2. And then right. And then she performed around her house. Now, if she's got 1 million people right there that tuned in, she's got 4 million on Instagram. So if you figure, quarter of that, tuned in or even less, that's a pretty decent payday. And probably more than she, and if you think about some of the lesser known artists, you'd almost think that would compete with streaming revenue. So if you can do some sort of unique, or even not unique. Even us sitting in our living rooms right now or wherever we're sitting, these are very unique circumstances. And if I was a cool artist that people wanted to see, they might actually dig seeing a bit more realness and unpolished. So I think, I've been just trying to really pay attention to kind of how we as an audience, as a fan, but then also as producers are kind of pivoting And it's been inspiring, scary, but inspiring.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry to hear about your job.
Right. So am I.
Yeah. Well, this conversation, I think, comes at a really good time, and again, please do drop that.
Oh yeah.
In the chat for us, Fiona. Thank you for sharing the Drone family link
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, I mean, my day job is in event technology, and our clientele are venues and concert promoters on the live side of the business, and everything's been canceled, of course, so we have no revenue coming in. We had significant layoffs a couple of weeks ago, and I thankfully still have my job, but things are getting tighter and tighter as time goes by. So who knows what the future has in store for the immediate now. We can only take it day by day, and we're here in our rooms, our respective rooms, to support each other as best as we can. Part of what I focus on in my compassion-based work strategies is knowing that it's two halves to a whole. So we have self-compassion, the self-compassion component, and then we have global compassion, compassion for others component, and that there has to be some sort of balance to be able to do them both well. The whole airplane saying, you put your mask on before your own mask on before you put someone else's mask on. That's not what they say. I just totally fumbled that, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In any case, basically, point being, it's really important to practice self-care and self-compassion in order to be compassionate towards others in a way that feels authentic, in a way that feels like you're really being wholehearted about it and not disingenuine, and in a way that you can really show up for other people. And so, this first half of the call was about how we can help others. And now I want to shift over to the other piece of this, which is the self-compassion piece, and how we are how we are taking care of ourselves right now, while we're trying to take care of others. And for me, I'm offering coaching to people who need it. I have a SOS thing. It's called Self-Care Opportunity Strategies. And I'm doing 30-minute one-off sessions for people who just need somebody to talk to and need to have some sort of a stability plan that they can lean on at home. I think a lot of people are struggling right now, working from home, just simply because their coworkers are the people they live with, and it's just a completely new world for those of us who aren't accustomed to already working from home. And just having a morning routine and evening routine, really leaning on those things to help take care of ourselves and things like that. So I have both. I have been struggling this week in particular with a lot of heaviness in the news. My, what started as like a much bigger outer circle of COVID-19 is now coming into my inner circle. And I'm hearing about people I know whose relatives are getting sick, and even people I know directly. And so there's a lot of fears coming up for me. You all feel that. You're all nodding your heads. So I know I'm not alone in this. But maybe, let's see, Varghese, can you take us through a little bit of maybe how you practice self-compassion in the midst of all this while you're trying to figure out your job situation and how to help other people too?
Totally. I think the first and foremost, probably the biggest shift that I've done, and I'm really not, it's not really something that I have done in the past as an adult, but I've been like working out and meditating a lot, and that's been pretty helpful because I am pretty energetic, and I think my wife would strangle me if I didn't release some of that energy. But it's also just been really helpful to just be, look out, really being focused on self-care in a progressive way that I've never really, meditation I've done before, like sound meditation, but I think the working out thing has definitely been interesting, especially considering that our one bedroom apartment is turned into a gym. But I think, that's been the first, and then really just, I think, just making sure that I'm a good partner, because when you're working from home, you realize that if you have a roommate or a loved one or a series or a family, it becomes it's like this organism that I think you need to make sure that everyone is communicating, and it becomes even more so important in this time, because everything is just compressed into what is now your multi-purpose home, whatever that version is. I think to me, that's been a challenge. A good one, but a challenge nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that piece about, both meditation and communication, equally important.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Fiona, how about you?
Yes. Wow. I have been doing a few things. Firstly, I've had sleepless nights, but it's been really wild because it's panic. But then I've had the most amazing quarantine sleeps that just went on for hours. Like last Sunday, for instance, I slept 13 hours.
Oh, how fabulous.
I have the last time I slept 13 hours was when I was 12.
Yeah,
so,
I haven't slept 13 hours in a long time.
Yeah, but it was just, it went and went and went and went. I thought I was anyway, I've had a few quarantine sleeps, and they're in this nightmare that's going on right now, this daymare. This is this dreamy thing. So anyway, I'm just appreciative of a few of those quarantine sleeps, because it sort of re-energizes me and sort of resets me. And then another thing I've been doing, which before all this, I was kind of working from home anyway. I had an office, which I went in 3 days a week in Midtown, but I've always worked from home anyway with the Bloom effect. So the working from home is not the adjustment for me. But what I was doing working from home was never actually getting changed into clothes. Mm-hmm. I would be wearing my PJs or my dressing gown, or, just and not putting on a face and looking all raggedy. And now I find myself during this time getting dressed every morning, doing my rituals. It's great. And putting on makeup for me, just for me, like, and obviously the Zoom too, trying to look the best I can. Even though I'm not, thank you, darling. Even though I'm not, going outside, at least inside somebody's seeing me. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing a lot of. And then I've been cooking like crazy. Wow. Prior to this, I was eating out all the time. I can't cook to save my life. So I've been online getting recipes, experimenting, doing a lot of burnt things and, stuff that doesn't taste good at all, and probably making myself a little sick. But at the same time, realizing by trial and error that I'm actually being able to cook some amazing meals. And even though it's just me eating them, I'm still feeling very proud and excited that one day I can actually share my amazing recipes with my significant other when that day comes. So anyway.
Well, in the meantime, would you share it with us? Can you pick one recipe and share it put it in the chat?
I will absolutely do that. Yes.
I appreciate it.
And then the last thing I want to share with you as far as self-care is I have been reaching out to family like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like usually I'm too busy. It's like I reach out to my parents, but I don't reach out to my cousins or my uncles or my sisters or my brother or the kids or and I have been reaching out to people almost every day. And that is a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm a Jewish woman, and Jewish people tend to be like the Italians, like La Familia, like it's like family is everything, and we're always in each other's faces. And I miss my family more than ever. So being able to know that I can FaceTime them, know that I can now Zoom them, and know that I can make them laugh, because I'm also a comic at heart. That's so therapeutic for me, and it's bringing so much joy to my family. So in dark times.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I wrote that all down into the chat. Those are all really great pointers. Thank you for sharing that. It's great.
Sure.
And please share a recipe.
Yes.
And Dan, how about you? What's something that you have really leaned into in terms of self-care these days?
Yeah, so I guess a preface to this too. So I mean, working remotely has been something that's been very pushed, ingrained into me for quite a while now. Like whether it's touring and all that. I also like the accounting thing. I do that remotely from home or while traveling on tour. So that hasn't really been an adjustment for me. But so I guess like the biggest adjustment for me is staying home. Like even though it's I'm used to working from there, but I'm not going up to rehearse with the band or anything like that, or record or write or anything like that. It's all been like I haven't left my my neighborhood in 4 weeks now. And so I think that's been like the biggest thing. So, but I think what I've coupled with that though is since I'm traveling so much less, I find myself with a lot more time to look at things, and it's been a great time to look inward and just develop, go back to like things that I enjoy. So like it's more time that I can spend with my guitar and getting better at it and writing. My the singer of my band, he owns a recording studio and we self-produce that way. So he's taught me how to do some recording stuff. So I've learned a new sort of trade, and I've actually been able to continue recording my parts of the record that we're working on from home still without having to go see him. So like that's been a cool thing. Then I think another cool piece to it is like on another side of things. So I've been a big fitness guy for years too, like with going to the gym a lot and weights and that. And then when I started traveling a lot, I bought like a set of weights to bring in like in the trailer, and a bench and a pull-up bar and that. So I have all that at home. So I'm not missing the gym. I'm able to do that from home. Just use my tour rig for working out. And it's been great to keep up with the fitness thing. But also on top of that, there's a lot of yoga studios that are offering stream classes now. And I've told myself I'm going to do yoga for the longest time, but with how much I've traveled, it's been hard to commit to going to yoga classes. But now that I'm all cooped up and there's these stream options, I've actually finally been able to do something that I've wanted to do for a long time and take yoga classes.
I love that. Is there a particular site that you like to visit for that, or?
So I'm going through. They're based out of San Francisco, but they're MX3 Fitness.
MX3 Fitness.
Yep, MX and then the number 3.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and they actually they're doing online yoga, and then they also do something called a boot camp, but I haven't done that. But I think that's more like cardio and like based kind of stuff. But there's a lot of like locally owned gyms that are coming up with creative solutions to keep their business thriving as much as they can in this time. And so there's that. And actually, I know there's a lot of studios and stuff too that for people particularly impacted in like the service industry. Yeah. If you can prove that you're like, you were laid off and you're in the service industry or something, there's a lot of places like offering free classes for these people right now.
That's wonderful to know. Oh, thank you.
So
appreciate
I think
that insight, Dan. Thank you.
Sure thing.
That's great. And Reggie, how about you? What, in terms of self-care, what do you lean into these days?
Well, not to talk about my son too much, but he's beaten me in basketball now. So every day I try to destroy him. And I'm old now, so how that goes. But all seriousness, before I got really into music, I was like this deep, I wouldn't say deep, but like I wanted to, find alternative healing modalities. And since this has happened, I've ran into people like offering free yoga classes, free classes like that. But there's this theta radiation healing that this lady from San Antonio is giving classes for free online. And that has been like life-changing for me right now. Me and my whole family has jumped into it. Can
you talk about that some more?
Theta radiation healing. It's how can I say it? It's like healing on a cellular level. But it's energetic healing. Let me give me 1 second.
I heard Sasha.
Yeah, she always keeps it right, you know.
Sasha.
So with most things, hold on, baby. This is why I look like I know what I'm doing, by the way, guys. This is my wife.
Hi.
So if I can put it into like man terms, there's a lot of healings and therapists out there that have you go step by step. This one to me, it's like a no-brainer. You don't have to think about it. It's like it's already always been. I know I'm being really vague about it. I'm not the expert on it, but it's, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but you.
Okay, and since you guys heard me, I came in, but I'm actually tuned in the room next door.
Oh, great.
And so I know that he always has trouble explaining it, and I think we kind of all do, because it's kind of this woo-woo out there kind of healing modality. But like our first introduction was into Reiki, which is this idea that your body has this natural frequency, this biomagnetic frequency or bioelectric frequency that you can kind of tune into and consciously direct, just to kind of heal psychological traumas or physical traumas. You can send energy to yourself, you can love yourself. So it's all kind of wrapped into that whole, if you understand yoga and all of those concepts with that, it's
energy healing.
But theta works in that realm, but I feel like it's more of a going into your subconscious and really rewriting your belief systems, because everything in the reality comes through the mind. And if your mind is programmed to have limitations and believe that you don't deserve or you don't have abundance, that's what you're going to manifest. So it's going in and it's kind of agreeing to rewrite those beliefs that no longer work for you, and it's worked wonders. I hope Reggie doesn't mind me saying this, but with the whole, he got a commercial, he got Katy Perry, he got all of these wonderful opportunities, and I think that it really did happen when he started to shift his beliefs about what he deserved, what his worth was. And I'd say that if Reggie can put like the link to her page there, like she's a powerful, and I wouldn't say her, the modality is a powerful tool that we've used just as partners, as parents, as, in everything, not just I want to do this to advance my career. But I think that it's overall just wonderful. That's why I had to like come yell over here. That's all.
I love that though. Thank you so much first of all, thank you for being part of this, Sasha. It's good to see you and meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you all too. I've seen all of your pictures.
And Sasha is Reggie's other half, which I'm sure you already figured out, and she is also his manager. So she has great involvement on the artistry side, and I really appreciate the insight, because when it comes to energy therapy, like you said, it's not just about what you want for one specific area of your life. It helps you reframe your thinking for all areas of your life. So if you're thinking from a place of abundance, then your life is abundant. If you're thinking from a place of lack, then your life is living in a place of lack, right? So it's reframing, reshifting that, right? Or shifting that into abundance. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think that's a really good reminder to be self-aware and just be very careful about where our minds are going, especially these days, because it easily can go to a place of fear and a place of lack and a place of negativity. There's some really very scary shit happening right now. And this reframing thinking it doesn't have anything to do with sweeping what's going on under the rug. It's acknowledging what's really happening and choosing to see things from a place of what we have control over. And that really actually brings us full circle into this mindfulness piece. What we have control over is taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other right now in the best way that we can. And we're just at time. So does everybody have a few more minutes? I would love to take some questions from our attendees if they have any. Looks like I've got one here. Oh, Sasha's asking. Okay, is everyone here?
Why don't you just come here, babe?
Can everyone say where they are? So I'm in Ohio. I'm in Athens, Ohio, which is technically the Midwest, but I still think it's the Mideast. But who's counting or looking? Anyway, and then Reggie, where are you?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Varghese, you are?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. And Fiona is also in
Bed-Stuy, baby.
Brooklyn. And Dan, where are you?
Just south of Detroit, Michigan.
All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So so central and east. And gosh, I just so appreciate all of this insight, everybody. It's been really helpful to me. I don't know about you, but it's helped me a lot. So, and this is all about me at the end of the day. So
yes.
Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, we answered live. Does anyone else on the attendee side have any questions for us or any feedback for the panelists? You can type it right in the chat. Okay. In the meantime, we'll wait another minute to see if anyone has any questions they want to share with us. And in the meantime, I just wanted to capitalize a little bit more on the self-care piece of really understanding how much space we actually need to take care of ourselves. This is the time to recognize, and I do this a lot in my coaching practice as well, especially now. This is the time to recognize how much physical space we need to take care of ourselves and how much mental space we need to take care of ourselves. Those are two different things. And if we're living and working by ourselves, maybe we're getting the space that we need, and maybe we have too much space. And it's the reverse, and we need more connection. If we're living and working with other people, maybe we need to recognize that everyone has different levels of needs for space. So one person in the house needs a lot more space and another needs a lot less space, and to recognize that and be able to have a conversation about it, right? We were talking about communication earlier being super important, and I think that can carry over into what we really need, right? Jason Wallace says, great job, guys. I appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day to share your energy with us. Thank you, Jason. And Jeanette says, LJ, can I contribute some funds for you having held these sessions? Wow. How to contribute, want to show my appreciation for your time and efforts to prepare for these sessions. Theta Healing, thank you for the correction of spelling. Sasha, I spelt it wrong. I appreciate that. Jeanette,
can we shout out Tony Blackman in the house?
Absolutely.
She's the hip hop ambassador, does a lot of great workshops for hip hop culture and the youth. Much love to you, Tony.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Tony. All right. Jeanette, thank you so much for this question. I so appreciate it. And your generosity is deeply, deeply appreciated. I think for this particular session, I'm just going to go with, hey, Varghese, do you have that link that you can share?
Yep. I posted it, but I'll repost it.
Okay. Yeah. If you could repost that, because I think it's way further up in the thread. I think all contributions can go to this link today. It would be greatly appreciated. This is you said GoFundMe, Varghese? Yep. GoFundMe link.
GoFundMe for the Bell House and Union Hall staff.
For the Bell House and Union Hall in Brooklyn, of which Varghese is now unfortunately furloughed from. And
Full disclosure, though, I will not be. These funds are not just so I'm not pitching myself. This is going to our on-site staff. So
Yeah.
this is actually which, to be honest, I am blessed in the position that I am in, and I've found myself to be thankful as we get such negative news. But this is definitely for all of our venue staff. And
I so appreciate. So to be clear, Varghese, this is to keep the venue open. The venue.
It's actually more just for the staff.
Okay.
This has been raised just strictly for all the funds are going directly to and being dispersed directly to the staff.
Got it. Okay.
Our venues are closed. So we're just looking out for our people.
Okay.
Thank you, LJ. That's very awesome of you.
And thank you again, Jeanette. This is it was a generous question. If anyone can contribute, I'm sure any amount would be welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Great. And then Sasha shared the Theta Healing with Brenda Bailey link on Facebook. That's great. Thank you so much, Sasha. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, me too.
That very last link is the one that I sent for the actual session.
Okay.
You got a real good manager.
Pay no attention.
He doesn't exist. It's all me.
I love it. I love it. Well, I so appreciate this hour with all of you. I hope you found it helpful and valuable. I hope that you felt a sense of connection. And you're not in it alone. We are in this together. We're here to help each other. And please take care of yourselves. It's just as important. And I'm sending you all strength and love in this time. We are going to continue this series for all the Thursdays in April. So next Thursday, we will be doing this again, same time, same place. And I will be sending out invitations and information for our panelists for next week as well, coming up in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, be well and take care of yourselves.
Yes.
Thanks, LJ.
Thank you, LJ.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you all so
Nice
much.
meeting you guys.
Nice
So
to meet
lovely.
everybody.
Meet everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Bye.